guys, and welcome back to my channel. So we took a lot of detours for the last few weeks, but this week, for everyone who has missed them, we are back to the informational videos. There's still so much of content that I have to share with you on this immigration journey, but we're getting right into it today, and I'm going to tell you about our first experience with the NHS. So previously in one of my videos, I did share about the costs of the whole immigration process, and one of our biggest costs was the NHS surcharge. Now, we paid upfront on the NHS surcharge, which enables us to have access to the NHS here in the UK. So we're on a tier 2 or a skilled workers visa for 3 years, and we've had to pay the NHS surcharge for the 3 years. Now the reason for that is because we obviously don't want to put strain on the system, and of course so that you have access to any healthcare services that you need while you're here in the UK. So what is the NHS? It is the National Health Service, and it refers to the government-funded medical services and healthcare services that's available to anybody that is living here in the UK. So what was our experience with the NHS? So when we first got here, we had to register with a practice that was close by. So we had a look around, wasn't really sure, what to look for, but I looked at the closest practice, called them up. We filled out an online application. We had to give them a little bit of our history, and obviously we're not sure of who the doctors are or what the exact process was at that time, so we were basically just winging it. But yeah, so I called them up, we did everything online, and then we were registered, and each of us got a letter in the mail to confirm that we were registered, and we had our NHS numbers as well. And then some time passes, and this is why I hadn't made the video until now. I wanted to actually experience it, be able to actually go to, to use the services, go to the doctor, or, whatever we needed to. And of course, that's not something you can plan, so I had to wait for opportunities to arise. So one thing that I've definitely noticed from the outset, you do have to wait a few days for an appointment. The practice that we go to has got about 20,000 patients. It's an aligned practice, so they've got doctors and nurses that are all working there together, and they service about 20,000 patients. So it's not always easy to get like an immediate appointment or like an appointment the next day. And obviously when it comes to illness, it's not like you're planning to get sick in the next 3 days. So when there is an emergency, they do suggest that you call 111 or you go straight through to the hospital. So the opportunity arose, and I actually took the girls in. There were a few things we all had to actually check up on. I was checking up on them all, but I'm going to get back to that story shortly. With the girls, I just wanted to make sure they were up to date in terms of what the requirements were for vaccinations here in the UK. There were some developmental milestones I wanted to check on for my toddler, a few things I wanted to check on for my 8-year-old. So yeah, it was, a visit was needed, and also just we had a few questions in terms of our boosters for the COVID vaccines. So we made appointments. It was nothing urgent, so we didn't mind waiting. I think I made an appointment, and we got an appointment like the week after, so it was like quite a few days after, and then we went in for our appointments. I found them very helpful, especially the nurses. I had lots of questions, lots of things that I wasn't sure about, and I found it very helpful. Another thing just to mention is that we have topped up our, I wouldn't say topped up, I don't even know how to explain it, but we have also got private health insurance, which is something you can add on, and then you can use that to go directly to your doctor privately, or you can use it so you can use your NHS as normal, and then if you have to wait for a specialist, for example, then you can use your private and call your private medical insurance to help ramp up your appointment. If you need to see a specialist, or if you need to have surgery or anything like that, your private does help you in terms of that. It's not something I think is absolutely essential. In terms of why we did it, my husband was offered private health insurance through work, so he wanted to get and I think that's quite a common thing with lots of companies, so he wanted to add on private health insurance for us, and I'm going to pop on over here how much we pay for that, just so that you can have an idea. And it's obviously something you want to do research about, because we're here and we're new and we're not sure. It's something we wanted to just have, and we'll see how it goes. So I might have an update for you later on as to whether it's something that we found beneficial, or whether it's something that we really didn't find that we needed. Another thing that I noticed that's different here is that you see doctors and nurses at the practice. So for example, with my toddler and even with my 8-year-old, I would generally take them to a pediatrician in South Africa. I'd go straight to the pediatrician. I wouldn't really take them to a GP, but here you have to go through the GP first and then be referred, if need be, to a pediatrician. So I found that a bit different and something that I had to adjust my mind around. But they do also have GPs, for example, that are more focused on kids, or they spend more time with kids, or they have a special interest in kids. So they try and give you an appointment with those GPs. Then you've also got the nurses that will do all their vaccinations, which is similar to what we were used to back in SA. So the nurses did the vaccinations and checked up on their milestones and all of that stuff for us. Then I had to go into the doctor. It was actually just a mole that I wanted to have looked at, which was under my clothes, and it was a very funny experience. So, well, funny for me because it was different, but I think quite normal here. So I go into the doctor and I said, well, he's actually the specific GP that deals with this, because he's got like this little scope that he looks at it through. So I wanted him to just have a look at it. So they booked me specifically with that doctor because that was his special interest, which is great. So I go in and I'm like, I have this mole, I want to have it looked at. And then he says, okay, sure, where is it? And I was like, oh, it's over here. And I start to like undress to show him. And he's like, wait, would you like me to get a chaperone? And I'm like, I know what a chaperone is in my head. And I'm like, why would I need a chaperone? Like, I don't understand why I need a chaperone. So I'm like, why do I need a chaperone? And he said, because I'm a male doctor and you're female, so to make you feel more comfortable, you can have a chaperone. And in my head, I'm almost like, you know what, as long as you have a medical degree, I'm sort of like expecting it to be okay. So and look, I know that maybe it's from a safety point of view and some people might feel more comfortable, and it's great to have that option. I felt comfortable, I felt fine, so I said to him, it's fine, let's proceed, I don't need a chaperone. But that is something that I found, because I was sort of sitting there like, what is he talking about? So it was something quite funny. But yeah, if you do feel uncomfortable for whatever reason, you can actually ask for a chaperone. Another thing is that we get a lot of mail, like actual physical mail, which I'm not used to because everything in South Africa was electronic. I used to get everything on email. So here you get your mail, a lot of your mail to your door. So we get a lot of stuff and notifications from the NHS at our door. So when we registered, we got our numbers like that. Our eldest is actually eligible now for the COVID vaccine. We got a letter in the mail to say she's eligible for the COVID vaccine and how to go about booking it, and just giving us a lot of information about it. So I find that really helpful. And then I got a mail to say that I was actually due to have a cervical exam, which I thought was really proactive, because generally back in SA, and obviously I'm comparing now, which isn't fair. I'm comparing because in South Africa we were on a private medical aid, and there I would take the onus on myself to remember to book my examinations with the gynecologist, and here obviously I'm comparing my private experience in South Africa to a state experience in the UK. So I don't really want to compare it that way. I just want to talk from our experience of the NHS in the UK, and so I don't really want to compare it per se. But yeah, so obviously in South Africa I took the onus on myself. Discovery, I was on Discovery Health medical aid, and they would remind you for your pap smear, and they would basically tell you to do it every 3 years, and they would pay for that. But obviously we paid for our medical aid there as well, so here I got an SMS to say, you're due for a smear, please can you give us a call to make an appointment and have that booked. But then the one thing that I found that was very different was after I had my exam done with the nurse, and we had a chat and all of that, she said, okay, so your results will come to you in 2 weeks in the mail at your home. And she checked my address, and I was like, wow, 2 weeks, like that feels long. It's not that it's urgent though, like I don't need it urgently. There's nothing that I'm not doing it from like a concern point of view. I'm doing it because I'm due for it. So I don't have an urgency for it. But in South Africa with my medical aid, I got used to, and I used to do it privately, I got used to having my results very quickly. So it's not a bad thing. I can't say that it's a bad thing because there's no urgency that's actually needed. And I probably just got spoiled with the fact that I was getting my results in like 1 to 2 days previously, and now I'm waiting 2 weeks for it. So I I can't really say it's something bad, but it's just something that's different and to be aware of. And then my husband had to go in for a minor op, so we really tested out lots of different things, and this is why I can come to you and say this has been our experience. So he had to go in for a minor op, and we had to obviously go through the GP who referred him, and we didn't even use our private insurance at this point. And we got a call back. So basically they refer you to the specialist, and then the specialist calls you back. So the specialist called him back, and usually there's quite a waiting list because it is a minor surgery, and we expected him to have quite a long waiting list. But somehow the surgeon had a gap, and basically they told him to come in the next week for the surgery. So he went in on his own. He had his surgery done. He said everybody was really helpful. It was just a day procedure. So after the surgery, they gave him some tea and a sandwich. But everybody was really friendly, really helpful. The hospital was really nice as well. It was a nice experience. And then he took the bus and came back home. So I actually asked him, if he needed me to go through and to drive through, I could, or just to help him out. But he was fine, and he took the bus and he came home. So yeah, that was our experience with the surgery. And then a few days later, he was in a little bit of pain and discomfort, so he called 111 to ask them, if it's normal, what he was experiencing, and they were also really, really helpful, and they got him an immediate appointment just to have a look at his stitches and stuff. So he went straight back to the hospital, and they got him an immediate appointment with a doctor just to have it looked at, and everything was fine. It's just part of the healing process. But yeah, so that was also a really good experience, and we found even 111, because you just worry I'm gonna call, how helpful are they gonna be? So even our experience with 111 was actually quite helpful. So the NHS does work on a triage system. Obviously, depending on how much of an emergency it is, you will be pushed up further. So that's why they say if you really are in a emergency situation, just go straight to the hospital. So the one thing that I haven't yet heard back on, and this is something that I must actually just follow up with and see whether my private insurance will help in this regard, was I had ankle surgery in South Africa last year, and I was busy doing physio, so rehabilitation physio, just to get my range back, and I was doing some biokinetics as well. So I was seeing a biokineticist. I can never say biokineticist. Yeah, that. I was seeing someone for biokinetics just to regain my muscle strength and my range, and I was doing physio as well, so I wanted to continue that here. So I did mention it to them, and they said that the physio would be in contact, and they haven't yet, and it's been a few weeks, so I do need to follow up on that. And the other thing is that I am actually, when I was pregnant for our second born, I was a gestational diabetic. So I did mention that to them when I did my first meeting with the doctor, with the GP, just to put it on my file. And they want me to, because of that, have bloods every year. So in South Africa, I was seeing an endocrinologist for it. So I went directly to an endocrinologist who, was assessing all our hormone levels, blood levels, and all of that. So here, I have to go through the practice, and they're basically going to draw my bloods and do my HbA1c, and just to have it on record. So they want to do that annually as well. I haven't done that yet, so that is actually due for me to do in early August. So when I do that, I'll let you know how my experience goes with that. But yeah, those have been our experiences so far. So the girls, after the first follow-up appointment to check on their records and their immunizations, we actually went for their vaccines. So we've had their vaccines updated. Again, very pleasant experience. The nurse was so patient, especially with my eldest, who gets very nervous around needles. She was very, very patient. So I can't say that I felt rushed or, you always get worried. I think when you're coming into a new country, you're not sure what to expect. You're not sure what the healthcare system is going to be like. You hear differing views of what it's going to be like, and I really think it can differ from area to area as well. So it's something just to be mindful of if you are doing the move, to have a look at the practices that are close by, look at the reviews on them, and just really choose the best one for you. Because I have also heard that in some instances, in some areas, it is a lot more difficult to get appointments. There's a much longer waiting period, so those are some of the struggles I think that people have experienced. And I can only speak from my experience as far, and I want to be as open and as transparent with you about it. And that's why I'm going to tell you the good and the bad. You know, this is what my experience is. I can't change that. I can just tell you this is how we did it and this is what we did, and this is how it was. But I cannot compare, and I don't want to compare. As I said before, I'm not going to compare it to South Africa because I'm not comparing apples with apples. The system works differently here. It's a different triage system. I'm going directly to a GP, but you know, it took a while for me to wrap my mind around it and to be comfortable with it as well. And I think that's what's most nerve-wracking when you go to a different country. It's just figuring everything out. And then we also had an experience with dentistry. So I haven't yet gone for a clean. I need to actually book for one to be done. I want to still take the girls, but my husband has actually gone for a clean and a polish. So that was done not through the NHS though. We did that through our private dental insurance. So we have, as I mentioned before, the private medical insurance or the private health insurance. And then we have the private dental insurance as well. And that is just for all of the dental stuff. So the dentistry stuff can take quite a while here from what we've heard. There's long waiting lists if you want to get dentistry stuff done. So we thought that it would be important for us to have the dental insurance. I'm going to pop on here how much we pay for that as well as an added benefit. But yeah, we called in through so we basically have our dentistry insurance through Bupa, and we basically just gave them a call. We called a practice that was registered with them, and they gave us an appointment. It was a week after. Again, not life-threatening, nothing urgent, so it was fine to go in a week later. We haven't really had the experience of I have a massive toothache right now and how long does that take to get an appointment. So when we experience that, I will keep you updated. But yeah, so my husband went in for a routine sort of just like clean with the dentist. He said the dentist was really good. He found the oral hygienist a little bit like rough on his teeth, but again, that might have just been the person on the day. So we did have a portion that we had to pay in. There was a specific amount that was covered by the dental insurance, and then a portion that my husband had to pay in, and I'm going to drop those figures here for you as well. And then there's just lots and lots of resources, support, guidance, lots of free stuff as well for different things that you might be experiencing. So I think with one of the nurses, I'd actually mentioned that I lost my dad last year. And you know that I struggle a little bit with anxiety as well, and she actually mentioned to me the different types of support groups that they were and the free bereavement counseling that they have, and she gave me the channels within which to go through on how to access that. So I found that really nice. So the NHS website has a whole lot of information and a whole lot of resources as well. So we have this app, and on the app you can have access to all of your information. Everything's on there. Your family profile is on there, so the kids are on there as well. So on there I have access to all of our information, all of our existing prescriptions that we have, if any. If you have any appointments that are upcoming, your appointments will actually be on there as well. So that's really helpful because I'm super forgetful. So it really helps just go on there and check what the time of our appointment is. And then they will also ask you to choose an appointed pharmacy. So we've chosen one down the road here. There's actually one up the road that I went in to get some medication, and I actually preferred the service, so probably going to move over there. But it's also, you have to get a touch and feel of what works for you. So we just chose somebody when we got here, but we're probably going to move over because we prefer the other pharmacy. But yeah, you have an appointed pharmacy. So when they give you a prescription, you actually just go straight there. The doctor will send the script directly to your appointed pharmacy, and you go and pick up your prescription from the pharmacy. So with the kids, I've picked up some medication for my eldest, and it was cream that we had. She had a little bit of a rash that we wanted to sort out, so they prescribed a cream for her, an ointment for her. So we picked that up, and it was just easy. Go in, pick it up, go out. There was nothing to pay. And then my husband actually had to get a cream. He's also got very eczema prone, dermatitis prone skin, so he also had to pick up an ointment. And for him, he had 3 creams that he had to pick up, and he had a little surcharge. So it was the NHS surcharge fee, and I'm going to drop the amount that he had to pay on each of them. So per prescription you pay like a little surcharge, but obviously the medication is covered, and it's just the surcharge that you pay when you pick up your prescription. Yeah, so that has been our experience thus far. But if there's one piece of advice I can give you, is don't be scared to ask questions. I went in and I said, I'm from South Africa, this is my history, we're starting everything from scratch here. I need advice on this, this, and this. Can you help me with this? I booked appointments for everything that I was concerned about. And I never felt like any of the appointments were rushed or anything like that. So I felt like I was given advice in the best way that they could possibly, give me advice. So far I'd say it's been a positive experience. Obviously the waiting times, and like I said, if it's not an emergency and there's no urgency to it, I've just been previously spoiled with, getting things done a lot quicker. But it's not a train smash. Look, I can't complain about that, As I mentioned, it might change. I might come to you in a few months and say, hey, we've experienced this, or we figured out this way to do things, or, something might change. And when that happens, I'm going to tell you about it. But for now, this has been our experience, and I'm going to share it with you as we live it and as we learn it, because we are learning every day as we go along. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. If there's anything else you'd like me to talk about, please just drop a comment in the comment section as well. So I have done a lot of talking today, but I hope you found it helpful. If you have, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It would really mean so much to me. But now it is time to get supper going and to do the school run. So till next time.